Awakening. As Siddhartha left the grove in which the Buddha, the perfect one, remained, in which Govinda remained, he felt that he had also left his former life behind him in the grove. As he slowly went on his way, his head was full of his thoughts. He reflected deeply until this feeling completely overwhelmed him, and he reached a point where he recognized causes. For to recognize causes, it seemed to him, is to think. And through thought alone, feelings become knowledge and are not lost, but become real and begin to mature. Siddhartha reflected deeply as he went on his way. He realized that he was no longer a youth. He was no man. He realized that something had left him, like the old skin the snake sheds. Something was no longer in him, something that had accompanied him right through his youth and was part of him. This was the desire to have teachers and to listen to their teachings. He had left the last teacher he had met, even he, the greatest and wisest teacher, the holiest, the Buddha. He had to leave him. He could not accept his teachings. Slowly the thinker went on his way and asked himself, what is it that you want to learn from teachings and teachers? And although they taught you much, what was it they could not teach you? And he thought it was the self, the character and nature which I wished to learn. I wanted to rid myself of the self, to conquer it, but I could not conquer it. I could only deceive it, could only fly from it, could only hide from it. Truly nothing in the world has occupied my thoughts as much as the self, this riddle that I live. That I am one and am separated and different from everybody else. That I am Siddhartha. And about nothing in the world do I know less than about myself, about Siddhartha. The thinker, slowly going on his way, suddenly stood still, gripped by this thought. And another thought immediately arose from this one. It was the reason why I do not know anything about myself. The reason why Siddhartha has remained alien and unknown to myself is due to one thought, one single thing. I was afraid of myself. I was fleeing from myself. I was seeking Brahman, Atman. I wished to destroy myself, to get away from myself, in order to find in the unknown innermost, the nucleus of all things, Atman, life, the divine, the absolute. And by doing so, I lost myself on the way. Siddhartha looked up and around him. A smile crept over his face, and a strong feeling of awakening from a long dream spread right through his being. Immediately he walked on again, quickly, like a man who knows what he has to do. Yes, he no longer try to escape from Siddhartha. I will no longer devote my thoughts to Atman and the sorrows of the world. I will no longer mutilate and destroy myself in order to find a secret behind the ruins. I will no longer study Yoga Veda, Vitarka Veda, or asceticism, or any other teachings. I will learn from myself, my own pupil. I will learn from myself the secrets of God. I looked around him as if seeing the world for the first time. The world was beautiful, strange, and mysterious. Here was blue, here was yellow, green, sky and river, woods and mountains, all beautiful, all mysterious and tranquil. And in the midst of it, he, Siddhartha, the awakened one, on the way to himself. All this yellow, blue, river and wood passed for the first time across Siddhartha's eyes. It was no longer the magic of Mala. It was no more the veil of Maya. It was no longer meaningless and the chance diversities of the appearances of the world, despised by deep-thinking Brahmins who scorned diversity, who sought unity. River was river, and if the one and divine Siddhartha secretly lived in blue and river, just the divine art and intention that there should be yellow truth. There, sky, wood, and here Siddhartha. Meaning and reality were not hidden somewhere behind things. They were in you, in all of you. How deaf and stupid I have been, he thought, walking on. When anyone reads anything which he wishes to study, he does not despise the letters, punctuation marks, and call them illusions, chance, and worthless shells. He reads them, he studies them and loves them, little by little. But I, who wish to read the book of the world and the book of my own nature, would presume to despise the facts and signs. I call the world of appearances illusion. I call my eyes in carnal chance. Now it is over. I have awakened. I have indeed awakened, and have only been born today. But as these thoughts passed through Siddhartha's mind, he suddenly stood still, as if a snake lay in his path. Then, suddenly, this also was clear to him. He who was a cat-like one who had awakened or was newly born must begin his life completely afresh. When he left the Jetavana grove that morning, the grove of the illustrious one, already awakened, already on the way to himself, it was his intention, and it seemed the natural course for him after the years of his asceticism, to return to his home and his father. Now, however, in that moment as he stood still as if a snake lay in his path, this thought also came to him. I am no longer what I was. I am no longer an ascetic, no longer a priest, no longer a Brahmin. What then shall I do at home with my father? Study? Offer sacrifices? Practice meditation? All this is over for me now. Siddhartha stood still, and for a moment an icy chill stood over him. He shivered inwardly like a small animal, like a bird or a hare, when he realized how alone he was. He had been homeless for years, and had not felt like this. Now he did feel it. Previously, when in deepest meditation, he was still his father's son. He was a Brahmin of high standing, a religious man. Now, he was only Siddhartha, the awakened. Otherwise, nothing else. He breathed in deeply, and for a moment he shuddered. Nobody was so alone as he. He was no nobleman belonging to any aristocracy, no artisan belonging to any guild and finding refuge in it, sharing its life and language. He was no Brahmin sharing the life of the Brahmins, no ascetic belonging to the Shramanas. Even the most secluded hermit in the woods was not one and alone. He also belonged to a class of people. Govinda had become a monk, and thousands of monks were his brothers, wore the same gown, shared his beliefs, and spoke his language. But he, Siddhartha, where did he belong? Whose life would he share? Whose language would he speak? At that moment, when the world around him melted away, when he stood alone like a star in the heavens, he was overwhelmed by a feeling of icy despair. But he was more firmly himself than ever. That was the last shudder of his awakening, the last pains of birth. Immediately he moved on again and began to walk quickly and impatiently, no longer homewards, no longer to his father, no longer looking backwards. Part 2. Kamala. Siddhartha learned something new on every step of his path, for the world was transformed and he was enthralled. He saw the sun rise over forests and mountains and set over the distant palm shore. At night he saw the stars in the heavens and the sickle-shaped moon floating like a boat in the blue. He saw trees, stars, animals, clouds, rainbows, rocks, leaves, flowers, brook and river, the sparkle of dew on bushes and water, Distant high mountains blue and pale. Birds sang. Bees hummed. The wind blew gently across the rice fields. All this, colored in 1,000 different forms, had always been there. The sun and the moon had always shone. The rivers had always flowed and the bees had hummed. But in previous times all this had been nothing to Siddhartha but a fleeting and elusive veil before his eyes. Regarded with distrust, condemned to be disregarded and ostracized from the thoughts, because it was not reality, because reality lay on the other side of the visible. But now his eyes lingered on this side. He saw and recognized the visible, and he sought his place in this world. He did not seek reality. His goal was not on any other side. The world was beautiful when looked at in this way, without any seeking, so simple, so childlike. The moon and the stars were beautiful. The brook, the shore, the forest and the rock, the goat and the golden beetle, the flower and the butterfly were beautiful. It was beautiful and pleasant to go through the world like that, so childlike, so awakened, so concerned with the immediate, without any distrust. Elsewhere the sun burned fiercely. Elsewhere there was cool in the forest shade. Elsewhere there were pumpkins and bananas. The days and nights were short. Every hour passed quickly like a sail on the sea, beneath the sail of a ship of treasures, full of joy. Siddhartha saw a group of monkeys in the depths of the forest, moving about high in the branches, and heard their wild, eager cries. Siddhartha saw a ram follow a sheep and mate. In a lake of rushes, he saw the pike making chase in evening thunder. Swarms of young fishes fluttered over the cliffs and moved anxiously away from them. Strength and desire were reflected in the swiftly moving whirls of water formed by the raging pursuit. All this had always been, and he had never seen it. He was never present. Now he was present, belonged. Through his eyes he saw light and shadows. Through his mind he saw the moon and stars. On the way, Siddhartha remembered all that he had experienced in the garden of Siddhartha. The teachings he had heard there from the Holy Buddha, the parting from Corgan, the conversation of the illustrious one. He remembered each word that he had said to the illustrious one, and he was astonished that he had said things which he could not remember. What he had said to the Buddha, the Buddha's secret was not touched. At least once experienced in the power of enlightenment was just what he had now set off to experience. But it was now beginning his experience. He must begin experience himself. He had known for a long time that his self was Atma, but the same eternal nature as Brahman. But he had never really found himself, because he had wanted to trap it in the net of thought. The body was certainly not the self, nor the play of senses, nor thought, nor understanding, nor acquired wisdom or art with which to draw conclusions, and from already existing thoughts to spin new thoughts. No, this world of thought was still on this side, and it led to no goal when one destroyed the senses and itself, but fed it with thoughts and erudition. Both thought and the senses were fine things. Behind both of them lay hidden the last meaning. It was worthwhile listening to them both, to play with both, neither to despise nor overrate either of them, but to listen intently to both voices. He would only strive after whatever the inward voice commanded him, not tarry anywhere but where the voice advised him. Why did Gautama once sit down beneath the Bo tree in his greatest hour when he received enlightenment? He had heard a voice in his own heart which commanded him to seek rest under this tree. And he had not taken recourse to mortification of the flesh, sacrifices, Bathings or prayers, eating or drinking, sleeping or dreaming, he had listened to the voice. To obey no other external command, only the voice, to be prepared. That was good, that was necessary. Nothing else was necessary. During the night, as he slept in a ferryman's straw hut, Siddhartha had a dream. He dreamt that Govinda stood before him in the yellow robe of the ascetic. Govinda looked sad and asked him, "Why did you leave me?" Thereupon he embraced Govinda, put his arm round him, and as he drew him to his breast and kissed him, he was Govinda no longer, but a woman. And out of the woman's gown emerged a full breast, and Siddhartha lay there and drank. Sweet and strong tasted the milk from this breast. It tasted of woman and man, of sun and forest, of animal and flower, of every fruit, of every pleasure. It was intoxicating. When Siddhartha awoke, the pale river shimmered past the door of the hut, and in the forest, the cry of an owl rang out deep and clear. As the day began, Siddhartha asked his host, the ferryman, to take him across the river. The ferryman took him across on his bamboo raft. The broad sheet of water glimmered pink in the light of the morning. "It is a beautiful river," he said to his companion. "Yes," said the ferryman, "it is a very beautiful river. I love it above everything. I have often listened to it, gazed at it, and I have always learned something from it. One can learn much from a river." "Thank you, good man," said Siddhartha as he landed on the other side. "I am afraid I have no gift to give you, nor any payment. I am homeless, a Brahmin's son, and a Shramana." "I could see that," said the ferryman, "and I did not expect any payment or gift from you. You will give it to me some other time." "Do you think so?" said Siddhartha merrily. "Certainly. I have learned that from the river too. Everything comes back. You too, Shramana. You will come back. Now farewell. May your friendship be my payment. May you think of me when you sacrifice to the gods." Smiling, they parted from each other. Siddhartha was pleased at the ferryman's friendliness. "He is like Govinda," he thought, smiling. "All whom I meet on the way are like Govinda. All are grateful, although they themselves deserve thanks. All are subservient, all wish to be my friend, to obey and to think little. People are children." At midday he passed through a village. Children danced about in the lane in front of the clay huts. They played with pumpkin stones and mussels. They shouted and wrestled with each other, but ran away timidly when the strange Shramana appeared. At the end of the village, the path went alongside a brook, and at the edge of the brook, a young woman was kneeling and washing clothes. When Siddhartha greeted her, she raised her head and looked at him with a smile, so that he could see the whites of her eyes shining. He called across a benediction, as is customary among travelers, and asked how far the road still was to the large town. Thereupon she stood up and came towards him, her moist lips gleaming attractively in her young face. She exchanged light remarks with him, asked him if he had yet eaten, and whether it was true that the Shramanas slept alone in the forest at night and were not allowed to have any women with them. She then placed her left foot on his right and made a gesture, such as a woman makes when she invites a man to that kind of enjoyment of love which the holy book calls ascending the tree. Siddhartha felt his blood kindle. As he recognized his dream again at that moment, he stooped a little towards the woman and kissed the brown tip of her breast. Looking up, he saw her face smile, full of desire, and her half-closed eyes pleading and longing. Siddhartha also felt a longing and stir of sex in him. As he had never yet touched a woman, he hesitated a moment, although his hands were ready to seize her. At that moment, he heard his inward voice, and the voice said, "No." Then all the magic disappeared from the young woman's smiling face. He saw nothing but the ardent glance of a passionate young woman. Gently, he stroked her cheek, and quickly disappeared, the disappointed woman, into the bamboo wood. Before evening of that day, he reached a large town, and he stopped, because he had a desire to meet with people. He had lived in the woods for a long time, and the ferryman's straw hut in which he had slept the previous night was the first he had overheard for a long time. Outside the town, a beautiful unfenced road, the wanderer met a small train of men and women servants loaded with baskets. In the middle, in an ornamented sedan chair carried by 4 people, sat a woman, the mistress, red cushions and a colored awning. Siddhartha stood still at the entrance to the road and watched the procession. The men servants, the maids, the bastards. He looked at the sedan chair of the lady in it. And he picked up black hair. He saw a bright, very sweet, happy face. A bright red mouth like a lemon. Large eyebrows pointed in a high arch. Dark eyes. And a clear, slender neck above her gold gown. The woman's hands were firm and smooth, long and slender. Broad gold bangles on her wrists. Siddhartha saw how beautiful she was, and his heart rejoiced. He bowed low as the sedan chair passed close by him. Raising himself again, he gazed at the bright, fair face. For a moment he looked at her arched eyes, and inhaled the fragrance of a perfume he did not recognize. For a moment, the beautiful woman nodded and smiled, then disappeared into the grove, followed by her servants. So, Siddhartha, I enter this town under a lucky star. He felt the urge to enter the grove immediately. He followed over. For it had just occurred to him how the men servants and maids had looked at him at the entrance, so scornfully, so distrustfully, so dismissive in their glance. I am still a shop, still an ascetic in the faith. I cannot remain one. I cannot enter the grove like this. He laughed. He inquired from the first people that he met about the grove of the woman's name. Learned that it was the grove of Kamala, a well-known courtesan, and that besides the grove, she owned a house in the town. Then he entered the town. He had only one goal. Pursuing it, he surveyed the town, walked about it, maze of streets, stood still in places, and rested on the stone steps to the river. Towards evening, he made friends with a barber's assistant, whom he had seen working found him again at a fair in the temple of Vishnu, where he related to him stories about Vishnu and Lakshmi. During the night, he slept among the boats on the river, and early in the morning, when the first customers arrived in the shop, he had his beard shaved off by the barber's assistant. He also had his hair combed, rubbed with fine oil. Then he went to bathe in the river. When the beautiful Kamala was approaching her grove late in the afternoon in the sedan, Siddhartha was at the entrance. He beckoned the servant who was last in the procession and asked him to announce to his mistress, the young Brahmin desired. After a time, the servant returned, asked Siddhartha to follow him, conducted him silently into a pavilion. Did you not stand outside yesterday? Yes, I saw you yesterday and greeted you. But did you another figure, long hairs. You might observe together. You have seen everything. You have seen Siddhartha, the Brahmin's son, left his home to become a Shramana. He was a Shramana for 3 years. Now, however, I have left that path to come to this town, and the first person I met before I reached the town was you. I have come here to tell you, O Kamala, that you are the first woman to use Siddhartha's forward eyes. Never again will I lower my eyes when I meet a beautiful woman. Kamala smiled, played with her hand made of peacock's feathers, and asked, "Is that all that Siddhartha has come to tell me?" "I have come to tell you this, and to thank you because you are so beautiful. And if it does not displease you, Kamala, I would like to ask you to be my friend and teacher, for I do not know anything of the art of which you are mistress." Thereupon Kamala laughed aloud. "It has never been my experience that a Shramana from the woods should come to me and desire to learn from me. Never has a Shramana with long hair and an old torn loincloth come to me. Many young men come to me, including Brahmin sons, but they come to me in fine clothes, in fine shoes. There is scent in their hair and money in their purses. That is how these young men come to me, O Shramana." Siddhartha said, "I am already beginning to learn from you. I already learned something yesterday. Already I have got rid of my beard. I have combed and oiled my hair. There is not much more that is like you, most excellent lady. Fine clothes, fine shoes, and money in my purse." Siddhartha has undertaken to achieve more difficult things than these trifles, and has attained them. Why should I not attain what I decided to undertake yesterday? To be your friend, and to learn the pleasures of love from you. You will find me an apt pupil, Kamala. I have learned more difficult things than what you have to teach me. So Siddhartha is not good enough for you as he is, with oil in his hair, but without clothes, without shoes, and without money? Kamala laughed and said, "No, he is not yet good enough for me. He must have clothes, fine clothes, and shoes, fine shoes, and plenty of money in his purse, and presents for Kamala. Do you know now, Shramana from the woods? Do you understand?" "I understand very well," cried Siddhartha. "How could I fail to understand when it comes from such a mouth? Your mouth is like a freshly cut fig, Kamala. My lips are also red and fresh, and will fit yours very well, you will see. But tell me, fair Kamala, are you not at all afraid of the Shramana from the forest who has come to learn about love?" "Why should I be afraid of a Shramana? A stupid Shramana from the forest who comes from the jackals and does not know anything about women." "Oh, the Shramana is strong and afraid of nothing. He could force you, fair maiden. He could rob you. He could hurt you. No, Shramana, I am not afraid. Has a Shramana or a Brahmin ever feared that someone could come and strike him and rob him of his knowledge, of his piety, of his power for depth of thought? No, because they belong to himself, and he can only give of them what he wishes, and if he wishes. That is exactly how it is with Kamala, and with the pleasures of love. Fair and red are Kamala's lips, and try to kiss them against Kamala's will, and not one drop of sweetness will be obtained from them, although they know well how to give sweetness. You are an apt pupil, Siddhartha. So learn also this. One can beg, buy, be presented with, and find love in the streets. But it can never be stolen. You have misunderstood. Yes, it would be a pity if a fine young man like you misunderstood. Siddhartha bowed and smiled. You are right, Kamala. It would be a pity. It would be a very great pity. No drops of sweetness must be lost from your lips, nor from mine. So Siddhartha will come again when he has what he is lacking. Clothes, shoes, money. But tell me, fair Kamala, can you not give me a little advice? Advice? Why not? Who would not willingly give advice to a poor, ignorant shamana who comes from the jackals in the forest? Dear Kamala, where can I go in order to obtain these three things as quickly as possible? My friend, many people want to know that. You must do what you have learned and obtain money, clothes, and shoes for it. A poor man cannot obtain money otherwise.